All right, week 8 is upon us. We get into right around the halfway point of the season, boys. You got week 14 is the final week of the regular season in fantasy, 15, 16, 17 for the playoffs. So we're halfway through the regular season. It's really starting to get to be a tight race. I think it's really close between, I would say, at least the top 8 teams in the league, where there's kind of 4 that are not really in it this year. So 8 teams for 6 spots. It's going to be fun the rest of the way. All right. I know we had a game last night, but we'll get into last week's games. Ted, first win, beats me 112 to 103. Matt 112, Bobby 84, Brad 129, Sidnam 113. Dooley with the upset, 148 to 145 over Gaddy. Reed 138, Carbs 91, and Rusty 143 to 77 over Tyler. So that was the recap quickly of last week. We'll get into number 12. I'm going with Tyler. I know he's 2-5. I know Ted's 1-6, but I mean, no Saquon, no Derrick Henry anymore. We kind of know the story. It was kind of like with Bobby's team last year where, it's just you're kind of going to be in the 12 spot. There's a ton of picks. There's a lot to look forward to for the future and for the draft coming up. But for right now, it's just going to be a long season, and you're good. You have other fantasy teams, focus on those because that's kind of all you need to do as long as you hit the lineup every week. Ted with his first win, congratulations! It was against me, well deserved. And yeah, again, Ted kind of in the same boat, but at least gets a win. And, at least get some momentum there. And you just never know what happens. CeeDee Lamb coming back is a big deal. I think the Cowboys still have a really explosive offense moving forward. And that's going to be good for fantasy purposes for anybody. I got sitting on at 10. Tough loss last week. But, I kind of think when you look at it from this standpoint, Quinshawn is a monster. He really is. He's been a big time fantasy, and Tyler Warren I think has got a lot of hope. So, you like Sidnam's team next year better than you like Sidnam's team this year. So that's kind of where I look at it with his team at number 10. Bobby at 9. Listen, it's been a tough year when you look at the roster. Neighbors obviously out for the year. Bowers and the Raiders have been terrible. Marv has just had what is he at this point in his career? And Gentry's had a really bad. I wouldn't say really bad rookie year, but when you look at some of the other rookie running backs, Scadaboo's been better. Hampton was better before he hurt his knee. There's just been better running backs, and for the Raiders taking him overall like that high, you would have just expected better from Gentry, and he just hasn't brought it. So I can't even blame Bobby there because I just think that everyone kind of just assumed Gentry was just going to come in and be awesome like he was at Boise State last year, and it just hasn't happened for him. So I think if he was running really well and better, I think you would see progression. But hey, James Cook's still there. Jane Daniels has been hurt too, so that hasn't helped you. So I'm not counting Bobby out, but it's been the team is really just underwhelmed and kind of let you down, unfortunately. Dooley at 8, right there at 3 and 4, really big win over Gaddy. This is kind of where I think okay, you can convince me that maybe Dooley gets in the playoffs. I think Bobby's got a chance too, but it's kind of have to go on a little bit of a streak. But Dooley at 3 and 4, Jackson Smith the Jig has been the best receiver in fantasy this year. Has been Jamar Chase, hasn't been CeeDee Lamb, hasn't been Justin Jefferson. It's been Jackson Smith and Jigba with Sam Darnold. He is, well in the lead in receptions and receiving yards. He has been incredible. So imagine if you get Amarian Hampton back and add into that core. That would be something. But JSN has been awesome. He really has had a great year. I got Rusty at 7. There's been some bad luck because the points 4 are there with Rusty. But Taylor has been so damn good, man. So at least you have a guy who I think is just going to be, him and McCaffrey 1-2 in running back. And you have that moving forward this year. As long as he stays healthy, as long as the Colts continue to roll, I think Taylor's going to keep you in almost every game because he's good for at least a touchdown or 2 a week, it seems like. So I think Rusty's team's going to be fine. I think he's had a little bit of bad luck, so you can kind of maybe see that turn the other way as you get into the second half of the season. I got Matt at 6. I know Matt's 5-2, but still has the least amount of points scored against. But I do think with adding Gadsden, Oronde Gadsden from the Chargers, who had a really good game last night and had a really good game on Sunday, that could really elevate the roster and kind of even things out. Curious what Rico Dowdle does now with Chuba Hubbard back. But, need Garrett Wilson to do something, but that's going to be asking a lot because the Jets, I don't have to really go into it anymore with the Jets. I'm moving myself down to 5. It's been as low as I've been in a while, but injuries are starting to catch up with my team. Lamar had been out with the hamstring. I hope he plays this week. I really need him to. And I'm getting killed with buys this week with Kyron and Jahmyr Gibbs on bye. So I think next week, once my team comes back fully and, all my teams have had their buys, I think that's kind of what I'm going to start to take off. So, I think this week's going to be a little uphill. Hopefully Lamar plays. I really need him to. But Kincaid's had a nice year. And, he's given me a little bit of the tight end boost, which I've needed. So there's that. I got Carb's team at 4. Tough loss last week, but Carb's team's been really solid this year. And I think you get Bucky Irving back with that group of Jacobs and Montgomery and with Josh Allen. It's just kind of a very, you kind of know what you're getting every week, but you're going to get a really good performance from Carb's team. And I just kind of feel like that's where his team is at this point. Put up 91 points last week, but no Josh Allen. But Jackson Dart played really well, so I guess he really didn't lose too much there with fantasy points wise. But I just think Carbs is in a good spot, and I think he's a lock to make the playoffs. Brad at 6-1, only team at 6-1 moves up to 3. I'll say this: Brad 6-1, I think he'll make the playoffs. Am I worried about the rest of the team besides McCaffrey? Yeah, a little bit. I think it's worked out really well because McCaffrey, I think, is 6th in the league in receiving yards, not rushing yards, receiving yards. But Nico Collins is hurt. He's had a really tough year. Chase Brown's had a really tough year for the Bengals. He's been really hurt. I think Pickens has really stepped up for you as well. Goff has been steady at quarterback. But 6-1, do I think he's better than some of the other teams in the league? No, but Brad's at number 3 in the power rankings because of the record. He's the only team at 6-1 right now and has continued to put up good numbers and good performances each week, especially when you have Christian McCaffrey, who, hey, we all know if he stays healthy, he's going to be a fantasy monster. Gaddy at 2, I know he's 4-3, and you're going to say, well, there's teams at 5-2 that are below him. Look, the bottom line is he's got the most points scored in the league, by 40 points over Reed. I just still think the team is really good. You get Rashee Rice back. You get George Kittle back coming back. He didn't even do anything this week. Imagine if there's anything, you get in the 150s. You lose a really tough game to Dooley. So I'm not as concerned about Gaddy's team. I still think he's the team to beat. But right now, at 4-3, where it's at, we're at number 2 with him. And Reed team at number 1. You get Puka Nacua back. Him and St. Brown are just as good a duo as receiver duo as you're going to have in fantasy, other than probably Jefferson and Chase. But you can argue that those two guys have been better fantasy options this year than those two guys. I would still take Chase and Jefferson, but it's been more of the quarterbacks that have been thrown to him. Puka's got Stafford, and Amon-Ra's got Jared Goff. It's a little bit different, but I really do like the construction of Reed's team. I think I got to put him at number 1. He's 5-2, but has 900 points for. So you got to take that for what it's worth there. So, Leo, shut up! Hey! Sorry about that, guys. And brought to you by our sponsor, Yeti. Can't thank them enough for what they've done for this podcast and all the contributions they've made. It's the only reason why I'm here today. So shout out to Yeti. So we get into this week. We kind of already started. Matt's got a good start on me already with Gatson getting 19 points already, so that's not looking great for me, but that's the matchup. You got Brad versus Bobby. Really big matchup for Bobby. If he could somehow, stop Brad's winning streak of 6 games and maybe get himself to 3-5, maybe you could start to think about the playoffs. But if you go to 2-6, you're going to be asking a lot. Dooley versus Ted. Again, Dooley's got to probably win this game if he wants to think about maybe getting into that playoff spot. So there's a must win for Dooley after coming off a big win last week. Carbs and Sidnam. Again, I think Carbs and, Sidnam, I don't know if he's really coming for it this year, but hey, win it this time and you never know. Rusty versus Gaddy. Tough draw for Rusty. Gaddy coming off a loss. I don't see him losing again. but Rusty did get a good start yesterday with Ladd McConkey, who had a big game last night. And then you got Tyler versus Reed, the matchup that we've all wanted. We wish it was in better circumstances, 1-12 in the power rankings, but it's not as exciting as it would usually. But hey, Kamani Vidal did get 21 points yesterday for Tyler, so maybe there's an upset brewing there. But you'd have to do it a lot more than just 21 points with Kamani Vidal, I think, to beat Reed. But hey, this is why I play the game. So that is our Week 8 power rankings. As we get into Week 8, I guess we're recapping Week 7. I always get confused with that. So I will see you guys next week.